Hi, I'm Chrissy Durkin. I'm the Director of International Expansion at Rainforest Connection, and I'm grateful to get to participate in the EarthRanger conference all the way from Austin, Texas. I wish I could be there in person. So Rainforest Connection, we are a nonprofit tech startup focused on using acoustic monitoring for conservation. Acoustic data is unique. Almost all species make noise. Insects, mammals, amphibians, birds, bats, reptiles. You can hear it now. But threats like illegal logging, poaching, and mining also make noise. Here's the sound of a chicken. So acoustics are one of the best ways to understand the creatures that inhabit our living planet and the activities that threaten it on a scale impossible with any other type of data. As many of you know, around the world, our last remaining intact ecosystems are being destroyed at an alarming rate due to climate change, encroachment, and land degradation. It's critical that we have a means to understand what's happening across these regions, both in terms of threats and also how biodiversity is shifting in response. So Rainforest Connection has spent the last 7 years building the connective tissue to make acoustics a scalable, worldwide approach for data collection and analysis for conservation management. Our platform, including biodiversity monitoring tools, threat detection tools, and a suite of hardware, enables global partners, governments, NGOs, local communities, corporations, scientists, and ecologists to truly understand human impacts on ecosystems and guide conservation management. So the way it works is data is streamed to the cloud using real-time monitoring hardware called Guardians, pictured here, or collected using offline devices. We then can analyze it in real time to pick out threats such as illegal logging or poaching and send alerts to rangers on the ground. In this instance, the Guardians are connecting using the cell network, and then the data streamed to the cloud where we run artificial intelligence models for the sounds we're looking for. The new version of the Guardian has satellite connection capabilities. So the Guardian first relies on the cell network, and then if there's no connectivity available, we'll connect via satellite. So the way this works is the artificial intelligence models will run on the device on the edge, and then just the alerts will be sent out via satellite. So thus far, Rainforest Connection has primarily worked in South America and Southeast Asia due to connectivity requirements. But now that we have this capability, we're excited about our capacity to move into new regions, such as across Africa, that we think could significantly benefit from real-time acoustic monitoring detections. Once the alert is generated, the data is then made available in our online dashboard where managers can see all the events, the status of the Guardians, reports, and ranger tracking. Additionally, alerts show up on the Rainforest Connection Ranger app, seen here. So the alerts are sent to rangers' phones in near real time, and then they can choose how to respond and gather evidence. So you can see here the chainsaw detection shows up on the app, and then it shows where that came from. And then you can take photos, videos, voice recordings, and all of that data is stored connected to that alert. Additionally, we've integrated this data with EarthRanger so that you can keep all of your data stored in one place. So you can see an example of an event here that would be visible in EarthRanger. So this is a dog bark detection. All right, so just to give you an example of a poaching project, Rainforest Connection is working in the Eos Gorge in Greece with the park management, the Forest Research Institute of Thessaloniki, and the Balkan Chamois Society. The gorge and surrounding mountains is one of Greece's most pristine roadless areas and home to rich wildlife, including wolves, brown bears, and the symbol of the Pindus mountain range, the Balkan Chamois. There's evidence of hunting within the gorge, and that it's on the rise despite its designation as a wildlife game reserve. So the national park's finite human and financial resources means that anti-poaching activities are too few and far apart to serve as effective deterrents for committed poachers who typically hunt the chamois when the herds descend from the steep cliffs to graze at the alpine meadows and beech forests. So for this reason, Guardians, the real-time acoustic monitoring devices, have been deployed. These devices are recording the soundscape continuously and are detecting gunshots of poachers and hunters who target the wildlife, including the endangered Balkan chamois, wolves, and bears. Each guardian covers an area of 3 square kilometers, which greatly offsets the cost, inefficiency, and time associated with patrolling large areas of land on foot. Once poachers hear that the area is being monitored, they're also less likely to poach and risk arrest. So this network of strategically placed guardian devices seeks to serve as a force multiplier for frontline conservationists, enabling near real notification of legal activities in the gorge. Since there are only a few trails in and out of the gorge, the timely warning of poaching incidents is likely to lead to successful interceptions and hence deterrence of future incidents. Right now, maintenance tasks, trainings, and expanding the reach of the sensors are really vital because the hunting season in Greece just started the last week of August, a time that is inevitably accompanied by an increase in poaching. Here's another example. We're currently applying the same technology in West Sumatra. Indonesia counts for the 3rd largest forest area in the world, with designated forest lands covering 60% of its landmass, equivalent to 113 million hectares. Yet it also has one of the highest rates of deforestation globally. So Rainforest Connection is working with local partner KKI Warsi and village forest guards in West Sumatra to help use the technology to fight illegal destruction of the forest. We've installed 27 guardians across several village forests, and the technology we found is really only as strong as the people who are making use of it. So we rely heavily on the village forest guards and KKI Warsi to actually take this data and transform it into action on the ground. These are just 2 examples of the many threat detection projects we're working on worldwide. For new projects, as long as there's a sound that you can identify, it's possible to develop an AI model for it and receive alerts. So additionally, as we're undertaking these individual projects with partners, we're building up a database of the world's species calls. And as we're doing that, we're creating these huge labeled data sets for AI models for biodiversity. We're working on developing regional convolutional neural networks in which we can automatically map species presence around the world. So this will make it possible to holistically understand how we're impacting the Earth's fauna and hopefully make it so that we can make really informed decisions on how to best conserve what remains and slow the mass extinction that's currently unfolding. So the first challenge to overcome is that a huge amount of data needs to be collected and labeled for species calls around the world. Bioacoustic scientists have been collecting and analyzing sound for a century, but have faced an incredibly time-intensive analysis process of manually listening to recordings. So we've developed a biodiversity monitoring platform called Arbymon, and we use a tool called pattern matching, illustrated here, in which we take one example of a species call and use it as a template to find all of the matches within a certain threshold. We then use this as a labeled data set, and our data science team builds an artificial intelligence model for that species. And then we do this with hundreds of species, and we're creating these regional AI models for biodiversity that we've seen to be very effective. So this is an example of what that looks like. This is real-time data coming in from a project in Peru, and this is an AI model running over the data in real time, detecting about 14 species as seen here, and each of these boxes represents the detection of a different species call. So, we can detect many species using acoustics. One of my personal favorites in the top center in Indonesia is the rhinoceros hornbill. So that's just one species, but as you know, species in all sorts of different types of ecosystems are making sound, and we can utilize this technology to understand their presence. Let's go back just really quickly to Sumatra. Rainforest Connection is building a regional CNN here. To do this, we've analyzed over 134,000 recordings from 14 sites. In addition, we have over 21,000 positive template matching detections from 108 species, including birds, monkeys, and the giant black squirrel. And 31 of those species are under a threatened category according to the IUCN Red List. So in addition, 7 of those species are endemic to Sumatra. So this really helps facilitate large-scale understanding and makes it possible to create conservation plans around that understanding. The applications of this technology are quite widespread for conservation initiatives. Here's another example of a recently developed project. Wildlife reserves in Asia are surrounded by highly populated settlements and cultivated agricultural lands. Habitat loss and fragmentation have led to increasing human-elephant conflicts. As a lot of you are aware, landscapes adjacent to reserves are high conflict zones, with elephants reported as the leading cause of crop and property damage. So India houses the majority of the Asian elephant population at around 28,000 elephants, and annually over 400 people and 100 elephants are killed in India due to human-elephant conflict. So elephants communicate using infrasonics and low frequency rumbles. So Rainforest Connection already has a Guardian, a device capable of picking out sounds of interest from the soundscape in real time. So by developing an AI model for elephants, all of a sudden we have the first ever acoustic early warning system for farmers of elephant presence, making it possible to develop programs to keep farmers, crops, and elephants safe. So we recently used our platform to create a labeled data set of elephant calls for which we found about 1,000 examples out of nearly 1 million hours of audio. So this is what that call sounds like. That's actually an African elephant call, but the AI model we're developing as a result of this work will be deployed and tested in India in the upcoming months. And the same is true for elephants in Indonesia and in Africa. So we plan on testing this for human-elephant conflict next in the Lucier ecosystem. There are many applications of acoustic monitoring for conservation. We'll be able to do things like inform corporations of how to make their supply chains more sustainable by letting them know how their practices are impacting local fauna, build effective corridors for species as they change their distribution in response to climate change, and hear the alarm calls of monkeys when poachers are approaching. We can even apply this technology to marine environments. Here's an example of an AI model for orcas detecting their calls off the coast of Canada. If you want to hear it here. So we have marine projects in which we're using real-time acoustic data to help prevent ship strikes and shipping channels and things of that nature. So far we've gathered acoustic data from 38 countries across 6 continents with real-time data gathering in 18. So our goal is really to collect and create the largest ecoacoustic data set in history that will help capture vital data at this moment in time for which we can derive actionable insights that guide informed conservation insights for today, tomorrow, and for decades to come. So thanks so much for your time. Please don't hesitate to reach out with any questions or ideas, and feel free to contact me directly. My email is chrissy@rfcx.org. Again, we're so excited about our new integration with EarthRanger to make these tools even more easily accessible to conservationists. And we would love to see if real-time acoustic monitoring could contribute to the work of anyone here. Thanks again.